Welcome to the Business of Design podcast. I'm Cheryl Horne, Director of Operations for Business of Design. Kimberly asked me to take over this episode because we're going to be talking about hiring a virtual assistant. Anyone who dreams about having an assistant being able to delegate those tasks that you just don't want to do yourself, listen in. We're going to be talking about how to outsource, what to outsource, why to outsource, and how that can be game-changing for your business. Our guest today, Danae Branson, has a background in marketing, interior design, and financial services. She started as a virtual assistant in the finance industry, but after 10 years, she sort of saw a niche in the interior design field, and in 2019 launched Elite Design Assistants, which she created specifically to match interior designers with virtual assistants who specialize in the skills and the tasks that they need. So you can reach out to Danae at elitedesignassistants.com. She's going to provide a lot of great advice today. So again, we're going to be talking about outsourcing and what those tasks are. How do you figure out, set your priorities for getting some items off your list to start? And specifically, how to do that before you reach the point where you're so overwhelmed you can't even go through the process of hiring. So I hope you'll listen in. I just want to do a quick shout out. Tomorrow is our next BOD live member meeting. It's at 8 p.m. EST. Every once in a while, we do a later meeting for us here in North America to accommodate our members in Australia who miss out on our regular time slot. So again, July 24th at 8 p.m. EST. That's going to be July 25th at 10 a.m. in Australia. So it's going to be open coaching, but specifically we've had a lot of really great topics lately that our Australian members would really like to ask some questions on. So please take the time to review some of our past BOD live recordings before joining us. And of course, if you've got job specific issues going on, questions that you want us to answer, anything specific about the BOD programming, we are here to help. So please join us for that. Just log into your member dashboard to join us. And I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks so much. Hi, Danae. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I am great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Kimberly asked me to take the lead on this conversation because I talk to so many of our members and community every day, and hiring assistant is the dream. So how about we start? Can you just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yes. My name's Danae Branson, and I own Elite Design Assistants. And so basically what I do is I match interior designers with virtual design assistants that have all the talents, the skill sets, the experience that the designers are looking for. So my team is across the United States. They have several years of experience in the industry. Interior design is our specific niche. So then that way, when interior designers come to me, they know they're going to be matched with very experienced professional people. They don't have to worry about training. They can hire somebody that can just hop in, whatever it is, and help them out. So it works out really well.
Perfect. So, you know what? Let's start right at the beginning. Before you hire, how do you know you're ready to outsource tasks? And what can designers do to sort of prepare in advance of bringing on that new person?
Right. I would say a lot of designers, to be able to know when you're ready to outsource, it's going to look at basically what your business looks like right now. And are you getting overwhelmed, or are there things you don't like to do that you're just procrastinating? Are there things that maybe somebody else could do a little bit better? There's a lot of these things that you need to look at, because a lot of people don't realize that in order to get projects done and to grow and scale, you do need to hire people. I think a lot of people are worried about their budget right now. But if you hire well and if you do it the right way, you can actually make more money. So I talk to people about that all the time too. In order to grow and scale and hire more people, you can actually make more money when you're hiring those people out. But so that's kind of, how you would determine whether or not you need to hire somebody is just basically looking at your business right now, what you have going on, and what areas you procrastinate, what you don't like to do, what you put off, where you're really kind of getting stuck in the weeds.
And what would you say to somebody, because I'm certainly one of these people who sort of have the mindset that for all of those little tasks, it's just easier to do it myself?
Yeah, that a lot of times people think that. I mean, I run a outsourcing company for a living, and I am guilty of it myself.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, no, I've got to write this down, email it to somebody, and then it's off my plate. Somebody else can take over. But a lot of times, once you just do it, it's kind of one of those things you just have to do it, and it gets so easy and you get so used to it. And then you realize, oh my gosh, this is like a weight lifted off my shoulder. I am just going to pass it off to somebody else. And when you get in with somebody and you guys are really good and work with a team as a team, then it just works out so well. A lot of people in the beginning, if they are hesitant, they just have to try it and they'll see the benefits of it for sure.
Yeah.
Hey designers, just popping in to remind you of the wonders of Daniel House Club. DHC simplifies your design business, offering everything you need in one place. No more wasting time managing orders. They've got that covered, so you can concentrate on creating beautiful spaces. Plus, they offer some of the best trade pricing on top brands like Four Hands, Curry & Co., and Hudson Valley Lighting, with flat rate shipping. To join, visit danielhouse.club and use the promo code BOD2024, all caps, for 50% off your first year of their Pro Plus membership. And for you longtime members of DHC, they want to reward you for your loyalty. Use the code HighPoint2024 at checkout to receive 10% off the value of your next order. DHC is also super excited to celebrate BOD's 20th anniversary with us this fall at High Point Market. They will be sponsoring our seminar series on Saturday, October 26th, in partnership with some of their top vendor showrooms, including Four Hands, where mimosas will be on tap. Join Daniel House Club now and experience how easy managing your design business can be.
And what are some of those key questions that you ask designers who contact you who are looking to outsource, but they don't have that, bullet point list of this is exactly what I need? What answers should they have prepared in order to make the most of that, I guess, intake call, but also what information should they have ready in order to be matched up with that right person?
Yeah, I tell them definitely take a look at your business, write down everything you would love to get off your plate, and then prioritize, because sometimes they do come with quite a big list. And it could be bookkeeping and sourcing and CAD drafting. It can be very overwhelming to try to outsource a lot at once because we do niche down. And so I am hiring experts in different areas. Since our contracting is as needed and no minimums, it's possible you're going to work with more than one assistant, because the person who's very, very good at CAD drafting probably isn't the same person you're going to use for your bookkeeping,
Yeah.
And so I do tell them to come with some ideas of what you want to outsource, prioritize those ideas. And then I also like to know what kind of platforms and programs you're using that your assistant needs to know, because we're going to match based on that too. I mean, if you're doing admin and you use Studio Designer, you're going to want your assistant to know Studio Designer. So if you're using any sort of Asana or Canva or Chief Architect or whatever it is in your business, I'd like to know that so then I can really match well with a design assistant who's going to know those platforms and programs. And so it's just a seamless transition into using assistant.
Yeah. And we get the question a lot. I know in our business, Kimberly's had the same team forever. Most of her team started out as full-time employees. So we had that in-office experience. We got to know each other so that when we transitioned to everyone working independently or from home, there was already that relationship. There was already that trust. How do you delegate tasks and build that relationship to somebody that you're not meeting in person? And what are the best methods for communication, but also building that trust when you hand off 12 things that aren't tasks that you're great at? How do you know that they're doing it in 2 hours and not invoicing for 4? There's that. Once it's out of your hands, how do you know that the work is being done efficiently, correctly? How do you manage somebody that's not physically in your office or that you don't necessarily have that relationship with yet?
Right. So a lot of times what I do is whenever I'm matching somebody, I do have them have a conversation before the designer even decides to use our service. I want to make sure that they're also comfortable with that person, that it's a good personality fit, that they're okay with the background. Obviously, we do all the checks and balances here on my end. but I do like that added feature of I'm not just going to blindly assign you somebody.
Right.
This is who I think is the best fit. You're going to have a conversation with them, you know.
Mhm.
Again, everyone's experience. They've worked with designers. Many of them were designers at one time and decided to become virtual design assistants. So just as when you're hiring an in-house person, and if you're gone all the time on site visits and out of the office doing your thing, you're not going to be in the office seeing everything they do. So
Supervising.
there is that level of trust, right?
Yeah.
The other thing we do is I tell everyone to feel free to give us some sort of parameters on time. So obviously everyone on my team works very quick and efficiently. We have huge word of mouth of referrals is how we get a lot of our business. And so obviously that's great. We want to do really well and do really well for the industry. But I do tell people to feel free to set those parameters, because even though they're quick and efficient, designers will tend to just continue to pile more and more and more on the assistant and then not realize how many hours have been kind of stacked
How they're adding
up.
up.
Yeah, how they're adding up. And I learned this very, very early on. I had a designer who decided like this was the best thing ever. I'm going to go get my hair done and get my nails done and go do all these fun things because I have an assistant now who's running my business. And it didn't dawn on her until she got the first invoice how much she had outsourced.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I 100% know she did this. She did a fantastic job, but I just realized I do need to work in my business some, and I do need to set some parameters, some limit on the hours. And so then we do keep track of all of that as well. And that way, if a designer says, you know, I only want you doing 10 hours a week, but she sent 12 hours worth of work, your assistant's going to let you know well in advance. Right. Hey, I'm at 8 hours. It looks like I've got 4 hours left. Do you want me to do 2 and stop? Do you want me to put 2 to the next week? I mean, there's a lot of communication that goes into it on the assistant part, but that's their job, is to continue to stay on top of that and make sure they're meeting all the goals and expectations of those designers and making sure that everything's done quickly, efficiently. And you can tell very early on in the relationship if this is something that you're going to really love and enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
So I would say 99% of designers do love and enjoy this, but there is that small percent that just aren't cut out for a remote assistant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it's just not their comfort level. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And whether you're hiring for in-house or outsourcing, I know with our hiring process, there's a lot of levels before they speak with Kimberly directly. You know, she's recognized that hiring is not where she excels. She will base it on personality versus skills. So for anyone looking to hire who maybe is starting out on their own and they are the only person doing the interview, what are some of those key questions that they should ask to really identify that it's the right fit based on skills and expertise and not just personality?
Right. Yeah, definitely. You want to ask, the obvious question about their exact experience. The level of their experience, how many years they've been doing it, and what they've actually done. Because sometimes somebody can say, well, I've got two years of experience as an interior design assistant, but what did you do in those 2 years? Because everyone I've noticed does have different levels of experience when I'm interviewing people. And there's certain people that just I won't hire because they haven't done enough in the business to warrant the level of experience that I'm looking for. As far as the whole, business lingo. I mean, if all you're doing is just mood boards for somebody, I probably can't hire you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do look at exactly what they've been doing, the level of experience, and the kind of designers that they've worked with. I also look at just their communication style, because I've noticed that is key when you're hiring somebody. You want to hire somebody who has a similar communication style as you, or you want to set those goals and expectations up front. Like, what warrants a phone call versus an email? Do you take text? Do you not take texts? Are you expecting the communication during regular business hours?
Okay.
So the interesting thing about interior design is pre-COVID, I feel like designers work 24/7. And when I was hiring assistants, all these designers were like, I don't care if they're available evenings, weekends, during the day, whatever, I'm working all the time.
Yeah.
Once COVID hit, a lot of the designers now are like, I really need somebody available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 during my time zone. This is when I'm working. I'm no longer doing the evenings and weekends. I'm prioritizing family, work-life balance, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you definitely want to make sure, especially if you're hiring somebody on a contract or part-time sort
Yeah.
of contract, you want to make sure that they're available the hours that you're expecting them
Yeah.
to be available.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've talked to a lot of members who did have the scheduled time before COVID and then suddenly working from home and not having that personal space and being able to draw that line, suddenly the work outside of work timeline sort of got blurred and they were extending hours or needing to accommodate family during the week and making that time up evenings and weekends. So it's interesting to hear that it's sort of shifting back to really 9 to 5, which is great to have those boundaries and really stick to them. And you need to have that for your staff as well. I know for hiring something like a drawing package, it's really easy to show a portfolio of your work. When you're working with somebody more administrative, is there a lot of members ask about, like, is there a test I can give them? If I'm interviewing somebody, can I ask them to do something like right on the spot as sort of a test run to see how they handle a situation? Do you have examples of those type of tasks that you could do to in advance of making a decision on working with someone?
Right. When it comes to the admin, that is the harder one because there
Yeah.
isn't really a portfolio. I mean, you can look at the detailed experience. So what I look at, especially in a resume, when somebody sends it to me, is the level of detail that they go into for those administrative tasks.
Okay.
Like if somebody says, I just do admin and studio designer, like I need to know more.
Yeah.
What does that entail? Did you do procurement? Did you do invoicing? Did you do
Yeah.
client,
Administration is very broad.
Yes. And so what I found is even in that resume, if they're very detailed in those tasks, they tend to be more of a detailed oriented person. Obviously, if you're applying for a job, you look at those types of things as how detailed they are, because if they're serious about that position and they want to apply for that job, they're going to be very detailed. But I mean, trust me, I will get resumes from people who literally will have like 2 sentences per thing. And then maybe they have like a 3 sentence cover letter. And
Right.
I pass on them because they didn't even take the time or effort to really, do well on that aspect. I'm going to assume they're not going to do well as an assistant. So
Yeah.
I kind of look at also how they email, which is interesting because occasionally I'll get emails from people who the sentence structure is not correct or,
Right.
just different things. And I'm not like super nitpicky. We all make mistakes. I make
Yeah.
typos or, have grammatical errors, but I look at some of those types of things to determine their level of attention to detail when it
Yeah.
comes to admin. Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't know of an exact test
Yeah.
other than looking at the resume, the cover letter, the references, and visiting with them and how they present themselves for the admin side to be able to determine without a doubt. But for me personally, I have found since 2009, I just have a knack of finding the right people and matching. That's like my superpower, I guess, is matching people. So
Yeah.
that's why I think a lot of people come to me because they just know that I'm going to find them the right candidate. And not only is this, the interior designs business on the line, designers business on the line, this is my business on the line, my name, anyone who works with me, it's their name on the line.
Yeah.
It's it's a large industry, but it's a small niche group of people. And
Yeah.
we travel in a lot of the same circles. And we get, like I said, we get a lot of word of mouth referrals. So I know designers talk, they all listen to some of the same podcasts and go to some of the same, conferences and all of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So we're all just trying the best we can to elevate the industry. And so I do my part as trying to find the best possible design assistance for people.
Yeah. And what are some of the tasks that designers can outsource that they wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I can get that off my plate, right? Design packages, that's a huge one to do. Drawings, hugely time consuming. It's a very specific set of skills. Same with bookkeeping, being able to outsource that financial component. So when we're talking about administration, again, broad term, what are some more specific tasks that people can start adding to their list to consider outsourcing?
Right. So especially for admin, the procurement, invoicing, purchase orders, tracking the shipments, damage claims, any of your client communications, some people will have their assistant do like Friday progress reports just to limit the clients from constantly emailing, texting, wondering what's going on. They have their assistant do those weekly client reports. They'll do vendor communications. Some assistants will do the scheduling. So like when you're getting, they might schedule with trades. They're helping with the scheduling for the, the end phases, the installations, that kind of thing. And then of course we do some marketing things, website design, copywriting. So a lot of people don't like to write their e-newsletter, but they know they should have a subscriber list,
Right.
and they should be putting out a newsletter.
Yeah.
Or a blog, that kind of thing. The sourcing, like we had said, bookkeeping. Online business management is becoming more popular, where they're actually looking for somebody just to help with kind of the overseeing of the business, delegating tasks to other team members, making sure every phase of each project is going seamlessly, all those, boxes are checked and everything's running smoothly. Some of them are just so busy, like they'll hire an online business manager through me, and then now I communicate with the online business manager. And the online business manager will reach out and say, okay, now I need somebody who can do all of the construction docs. Who do you have? I'm going to interview them. I'm going to be hiring. So it's just interesting. The project management piece, there's anything that can be done virtually. I feel like they're all, we have one gal who does influencer marketing, and she will help with people who have large followings, kind of being able to maximize their following.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I know that's a huge area to like social media. It's so time consuming.
Yes.
Another big one that people want to delegate. So for all of those design related tasks, such as weekly emails to clients, that's certainly part of our process, that every single, Friday they should get an update knowing exactly where they're at on their project. And if the client has to ask the designer where something is at, then the designers drop the ball somewhere. How do you keep, when it's somebody that's virtual, how do you keep them informed about where projects are at, when to give them the information to then pass on to the client rather than doing it directly? How do you keep it efficient and have that person be informed when they're not, physically on job sites and running with the rest of the team, in order to do the time management component of client communications and even the ordering and that side of it? What does that communication process look like?
Right. So all designers do it a little bit differently, but they're all using some sort of project management software. It could be Asana, Trello. Some might just have like Google folders in a Dropbox, or I don't know if like Studio Designer, Ivy, Mydoma, if they have that kind of component in there or not, but I know a lot of them are using some sort of platform to be able to track everything, and everything updates in real time, so that design assistant can stay on top of it and see where everything's at to be able to generate those progress reports.
Okay. And in terms of time tracking, for billable tasks versus non-billable tasks, how do they do that on behalf of the client to ensure that the work that they're taking on and the work that the designer chooses to delegate makes outsourcing a service a new revenue stream versus an expense? That's one of the biggest comments that we get. I can't afford an assistant. And it should be looked at for anyone you hire, that's a new revenue stream for your business. So how does that look from the perspective of somebody looking to hire, to ensure that there's a balance between, there's still going to be some administrative tasks that aren't billable, but how do I make this new team member profitable for my business?
Right. So they're definitely going to want to look at what they are currently charging. So obviously what I'm charging is way less than what an interior designer should be charging for those services. So when they hire an assistant, then you're going to look at basically you're upcharging that to your client. So you're making money off of your assistant. That frees up time for you to either take on an additional project or to be able to, you know, continue that project. Sometimes projects are so huge that a designer would turn it away if they didn't have an assistant.
Right.
And so this allows you to take that project on, number one, number two, it allows you more time to take on an additional project, however your business looks. So that's how we talk about the revenue streams is you're going to be upcharging all this time, but then that frees your time up to be charging, you know, for additional services.
Yeah. And I know a lot of designers, when they are just starting out and they're on their own, they'll actually have two different rates, one for administrative and one for their design services, or because they're charging one rate a lot across the board, will charge a lower rate to justify the fact that they're doing everything. So when you hire an assistant, it's also a good time to consider giving yourself a raise to create the gap between the two price points. So hopefully, you know, you're increasing your profitability there as well. Are there any other tips for those looking to outsource? Anybody who's sort of been on the fence for a long time before making that jump? What can you say to give them that push for how game changing this can be?
Yeah, I would definitely say take a look at your business, take a look at your goals. Where do you want to be in a year, 2 years? You know, because a lot of times people can't continue to grow and scale or move forward if they don't hire somebody now. You hire somebody now, in 2 years, you can be exactly where you're wanting to be. But if you don't hire somebody now, 2 years from now, you're going to be exactly where you are today. I mean, it's just how quickly do you want to grow and scale? You know, what do you want your business to look like? And you don't know if it's going to work out for you if you don't try it, right? It's that risk of basically becoming an entrepreneur is a risk. Running your own interior design assistant business or design business is a risk.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, risk versus reward. And more often than not, obviously, we've grown a very large virtual agency specifically for interior designers. Interior designers are finding that it's very profitable for them to hire assistants. And I always tell people too that are on the fence that I visit with, if you want me to get you in touch with other designers who are currently using our services, I am more than happy to give those, you know, referrals, because I know sometimes people do need that just additional kind of validation that yes, this works. This has been a game changer for somebody else. And that has proved to be helpful for those people who are still kind of on the fence.
Yeah. And it's also about just taking action, and you can start small. It's not about doing everything at once. You might have a list of 32 things you'd love to get off your plate, but prioritize them and start with those things that are immediate and the most pressing to your business. Start with those, and then you can always grow from there and get a little bit off your plate, but it's about making the decision and taking action.
Yep, absolutely. And that's what we tell anyone who comes to us that is completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Just write your list, prioritize it. Let's start small. And many of them see that everything works so seamlessly that they are able to offload all those tasks much quicker than they maybe originally thought. If we just start with, you know, let's start with this person first. Once this works well, I don't care if it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you're comfortable with, then we'll get to the next kind of phase in your hiring. So
Well, I think too many designers wait until they really are almost too overwhelmed to do it. You sort of hit that point where you're overwhelmed and you know you need to, but then you sort of drag your feet and get to the point where it's the hiring process itself. You don't even have the bandwidth to take that on. So it's you know, making the decision before it's urgent. It really is.
Absolutely. And we see that a lot where people come to us and they need an assistant yesterday. And so then I feel like then those times we're always operating like, oh my gosh, we need to hurry up and get some, you know, and we still want to make sure they have the exact right person. You know, we can work very quickly, but I know there are times where we don't even have enough call slots open for somebody. And they're like, well, I needed somebody yesterday, but I can't even get a call with you till next week. And I'm in a bind and I get emails from people. And so
Yeah.
we try to
Making a
accommodate
decision out of
everyone we can.
desperation.
But
Yeah.
yes, yes, definitely.
Danae, we like to end every episode with design intervention, which is just a great piece of business advice. It can be completely off topic that our listeners can sort of walk away with and implement immediately.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that we do like to tell everyone as an interior designer is that you need to at least yearly look at your business and you need to assess, adjust, and adapt. This industry is ever changing, and you're always wanting to look at how you can be more efficient, more profitable, obviously continue your passion for the business and your joy. And so we find that when designers kind of take a step back, assess the business where it's at, adjust anything that they need to, and adapt to the current trends and how the world's moving right now and the industry's changing, that it works out very well for them to continue to continue their passion, I would say. It hurts me when I see interior designers who have lost their passion for this just because they're overwhelmed. And a lot of times it's just that step back.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I love that.
Yep.
Assess, adjust,
and adapt.
That's really good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know this certainly answered a lot of questions for designers, and I'm sure a lot will, take that next step to hire before hopefully they reach that point of overwhelm. It is a booming industry, and I know so many are looking to grow. So I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You too.